build a city called Las Vegas.
That,
Right? And build a city called Las Vegas with that kind of money, right?
yeah, man.
And then there was another great guy in that documentary, and shout out to the OG. His name was Jesse Gray.
Yeah.
Freddie Myers calls Jesse a hustler's hustler. You know, kind of guy that if you gave him 10 keys, he moved that. If you gave him 20 keys, he moved that.
Right on.
There was never, and it reminded me of some of the guys that, you know, that Eddie and Pops were dealing with. It just seemed like there was no end to how much product they could move. If the bag was right, they just turned the bag into money, like instantly. Shout out to OG. There's a guy named J.C. Rex that Dad talks about that after they got popped by the feds on the initial indictment. Everybody, people a little squirmish dealing with him. J.C. basically was like, just give me the bag then. I'll sell all 30 keys. And did basically
and put that together.
Yeah, and ran through. Or later, Fat Frank, same kind of guy. So anyway, like in any business, you got to run across those one or two guys who just really are plugged in and have a network to help move your inventory. If you want, and that's what makes it difficult for the average hustler or businessman to ascend to great levels, because whether it's the street business or legitimate business, at some point you gotta have a distribution network, and obviously every distribution network needs a star. And Jesse Gray, well, he wasn't just, I mean, if you look at the doc, he was actually a peer of Freddie Myers, not really employee, but they
right.
Those two did network together. And he said something that's really deep, and that is that their organization, the Good and Plenty Crew, wasn't based on money, how they interacted with people, that it was based on blood and relationships. And that again reminds me so much about them.
Right, the synergies between the two.
That, you know, Eddie's thing was, if you was family, or if your relationship was right with them, then you could get money with them. So yeah, man.
That's deep.
Yeah. So I don't know if you got a chance at the end, and then of course I was the sad part of some of these stories. So he gets popped in '83. Basically 10 years later, the big homie that we know, Kevin Childs, would go down. You know, his situation, his
right.
case would start. And I bring that up because it was both, as in so many of those cases, an informant, somebody who the feds got close to them, that brought them down, and how unfortunately the players in the 90s hadn't learned the lessons from the players from the 80s, who had not fully learned the lesson from the players in the 70s. Because the Eddie Jackson organization, the Farrell bust in New York which led to the beginning of the indictment, that was a crippling shot, but that's of course not what did it. It was the informant, Roosevelt Neighbors, aka Johnny Quick. And again, for you guys out there, excuse me, brother, if you guys want to know the whole story of how that informant, Roosevelt Neighbors, Johnny Quick, infiltrated the Eddie Jackson organization and the Motown Mafia, check out Motown Mafia on Amazon. You can get the book, Memoirs of a Kingpin's Kid, and of course, you got the award-winning documentary where Pops and Rudolph, Butch really go into that again, how this informant got inside their organization through a guy named George Blair. Shout out to the Blair family actually out there. There's people used to shout out to us, and
big shout.
You know, whatever people, however it went down with George, he was demonstrated integral part. But unfortunately, integral part of the organization. But unfortunately, he did bring a gentleman who would end up being a government informant into the circle of Eddie and my father. And in fact, Pops, of course, always tells the story that when they were at the house on Hubble, and this guy, Roosevelt Neighbors, Johnny Quick, was there with George, and he says he nudges Eddie, and he was like, "What's this guy?" And Eddie tells him, "That's George's man." And Pops reminds Eddie of his own edict. He's like, "Eddie, you said we don't sell to people we don't know." And so I'm going to get to a part about following your instincts, family. So Eddie Gushead, he serves George Blair with his guy, Roosevelt Neighbors, aka Johnny Quick.
Right.
After they do the transaction, Eddie goes to, the fat man goes to big man. He says, Eddie, I'm gonna tell you this. If we ever have any problems, you've heard, go ahead.
Yes,
What does he tell Eddie?
If anything happens that brings us down, it's gonna be him or that white woman that he's with.
And the only two witnesses that got on the stand against them was that white woman and Roosevelt Neighbors and Johnny Quick were the only people who actually took the stand and gave the most damaging testimony against them, right?
Yeah.
So on that note, right? Pop's vibe is telling them this guy's bad. Eddie know his own rule. Eddie that made the rule. We don't sell to strangers.
Mm-hmm.
Laxed money, comfort with friends because George is his man.
Mm-hmm.
George, high-ranking member of the organization. So now we gonna do what you ain't never supposed to do. We gonna make an exception.
Right.
To the rule. Well, there's a reason why the rule is the rule. Because the rule really should not have any exceptions to it. That's kind of what makes it the rule, right?
Right, exactly.
But they didn't. So I'm listening to the and researching the Freddie Myers story, and his deal was they go to Atlantic City, and this just it's a bunch of different points to just make you think about us, our culture, how things were back then, and on some level how little things have changed.
Right.
Freddie getting money, hanging out at a famous spot where all the New York ballers called Small's Paradise. In fact, if you look at American Gangster, a lot of those club scenes in the Denzel Washington movie, right? The Frank Lucas story, which ain't really the Frank Lucas story, but that's a different story. Small's Paradise was the one of the spots in Harlem.
Mm-hmm.
So Freddie's at Small's Paradise. He's approached by a guy named Mousy. Mousy, it used to be his man.
Right.
We know how it go, but Mousy not getting high. Mousy all fucked up. Okay. Freddie and his crew, it just reminds me of the Eddie Jackson entourage taking, 8 Cadillacs out to New York for the flight. Freddie and his crew about to get in all their Benzes and Cadillacs and go down to Atlantic City.
Mm-hmm.
Now they all diamond up and shit, and here come Mousy the dope fiend. But I think the audience understand this. Well, there is a code, and it really used to be a code. It doesn't exist so much in today's world.
Correct.
But back in the day, even if my man's fucked up, if he was my man and he ain't never did nothing scurvy to me and his only issue is he's got some personal issues, he's still my man.
Right.
And he still has entree to us who doing good.
Okay.
Even though he done fell off and he fucked up.
Right on, right on.
So we all who've been out there have had that relationship and that interaction. Times was good, it was a different time and place. You and a guy was cool, y'all made a lot of money together. Maybe unfortunately, substance abuse gets the best of them or life gets the best of them. But when you bump back into them, you don't kick them to the curb, you just be like, yeah,
Right.
But it's a fine line because what come with somebody with substance abuse issues, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
They just magnets for bad luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
They slap rock.
Right.
People, it's sad to say, and I ain't being funny style, because I've had my own issues in life, but people could be getting high when it gets to like dope fiend levels, shit.
Mm-hmm.
They be magnets for bad luck and tragedy. It'd be like that cloud just follow them, right?
Facts.
So anyway,
Facts.
Mousy catch up to Freddie and the crew at Small's Paradise.
Mm-hmm.
He like, damn, my man looking kind of bad, but anyway, that's my man. He say, well, me and the fellas, we are going, in these broads, we are going to Atlantic City.
Right.
Mousy say, can I go? Now, again, because it brought me back, me, Eddie, Tracy, we're going to the Cool Jazz Festival.
Okay.
And we, getting our outfits and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And Brother Mook somehow crossed our paths as we was on our way let's just say Mook had been on the block for a minute and hadn't made it home to change clothes in a long time. But Mook go back to us to
knee high to Betsy Bug.
Yeah, so Mook like, I want to go.
Right.
I want to go to Cool Jazz Festival, Cincinnati. Oh, Big look at me. I look at the Hut. The Hut look back. What we gonna do? How we gonna tell this man we done known all our life? Because you done fell off. You ain't good enough to go on vacation with us. You again, these some old school values. You can't do that.
Nope.
If Pop and the old timers find out you did some shit like that, you gonna get a lecture. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? That's where we didn't get where we came from. We didn't forget what the struggle is.
Right, exactly.
You niggas couldn't have got him a room. Y'all getting money. Y'all couldn't have figured out a way to make it work.
Right.
Right? And one of the greatest vacations I had, actually. Our story ended much better than Freddie Meyer's story. Mook came with us, and me, Tracy, and Eddie went to Cincinnati Cool Jazz Festival, and we were able to give our friend who was a little down on his luck a good weekend.
Good time, right.
Well, not so much for Mousy and Freddie Myers. So Mousy all fucked up. He cut into his man. I want to go to Atlantic City with the fellas.
Okay.
You know, if you watch the documentary, Freddie says, you know, despite a better judgment, again, old time loyalties, fuck it. Mousy, you can't ride with me, but you can come. He tells some of the other crew, look, Mousy gonna ride with y'all. Okay, they get to Atlantic City, they get to the hotel. Mm-hmm. You know, Freddie got a whole bunch of rooms. He said they had some young broads, pretty broads. Of course, pretty broads gonna be where guys with the bag is at. They go together like pretty women and guys with money go together like salt and pepper. Always have, always will.
Forever.
Waffles and pancakes, butter and biscuits.
What is it? Peanut butter and chocolate.
Peanut butter, all that, they go together. You find one, the other one ain't gonna be far around.
That's right.
Okay, well here's where the problem begins though. So they get to Atlantic City, they all in their suites. This is according to these other words of New York Freddie Myers. He said he get to his room, he get a call, of course, because I'm telling you, when people be fucked up, it be fucked up. So he dressed like a vagrant.
Okay.
You got these pretty young girls who of course got in their head, we going with these ballers, we gonna have us a good time, and we gonna do what pretty young girls and ballers do, right? Mousy call his man, because people be out their mind. He go call Freddie and tell him, hey man, these girls acting real funny style. And Freddie say, he tried to explain to him, well, damn, Mousy, they pretty young girls, and you kind of, without trying to hurt the brother's feelings, you kind of then fell off a little bit.
Right.
And, so, yeah, they looking kind of for fly guys, and that ain't how you laying right now, bro. So, kind of relax. You just...
Right.
His man Mousy keep cutting into him, right? Well, no, they ain't treating me right, yada, yada, yada. So... Freddie's man, who's downstairs, named Danny, is this character again he's gonna be the Roosevelt Neighbors Johnny Quick. He's a DJ, good guy, but not a hustler.
Okay.
Square, but he in the clique. But he a square in the clique. But everybody like him, everybody know him. He been in the scene, right? So he get to hang out with the clique, and instead of, as always, we gonna get there. Instead of being a square that's in the clique, and understand that the square in the clique is the luckiest guy in the world, because I'm gonna have all the same fun as you niggas hustling, except for when the feds come, y'all going to jail, and I'm gonna be who y'all calling me, because see, I ain't doing no dirt with y'all. We just cool.
Right.
And so that really is a lesson out there. If you are the square and you plugged in to some guys that's making it happen, stay in your lane. You are the luckiest man. Because you getting to live the lifestyle without throwing rocks at the penitentiary. It don't get no better than that.
It don't get no better. It's a very sweet spot.
That's a very envious spot. But it's amazing how many people be in that envious spot.
And then want to get over it.
And want to get into the hot lane.
Into the hot lane, right.
The lane, as my mom would say, the lane to lead to the federal penitentiary. All you niggas going to jail. As Schoolyard George used to say, all this money we getting, boy, niggas ain't supposed to get this much money. We all gonna end up in the jailhouse behind this shit here. Schoolyard would kill Eddie with that shit. Every time, you know, we all go end up in the jailhouse behind this shit, all this money we making. Y'all know niggas ain't supposed to have this much money. We all go into the jailhouse behind this shit. Fucking with George did. Anyway, different story. We'll tell the legend of Schoolyard George another time. Shout out to George out there too, by the way. Real soldier, last of a dinosaur's breed. Just stand up, old school, hard as a rock. Kill a stone for the old man. But anyway, so Mousy bugging Freddie, saying the young broads ain't treating them right. Yada yada yada. Freddie say, Mousy, tell old boy Danny the square. He say he was holding about $19,000 for him or something. He said, tell him to give you a couple dollars and then you'll have some money and maybe the girls will treat you a little bit better. Because money does have a funny way, despite of wardrobe and appearance, a couple dollars can make
can go a long way.
The fair sex a little more at least they can tolerate you, you know. Dress like a bum, lack of hygiene, and broke. That's 3 times.
That's kind of pushing it.
Not dress well, lack of hygiene, but a bunch of $100 bills. I mean, we can find a way to the shower. Well, yeah, now there's nothing more than some soap and water can cure. Once you got a pocket full of hundreds, some soap and water can cure the rest of these ills, baby, and we can get to it. But okay, it don't go down like that.
Okay.
It don't go down like that. We good on the time on our.
Yeah, I just reset it. You're good.
Mousy, you know, this is where his daddy would call it the real nigga shit. Real nigga shit kick in. Mousy tell Danny that Freddie said, give me a couple hundred. I got to tell y'all, all y'all who have been black all your life like myself, know that sometimes it be so much money going around, but sometimes in our culture community we can just get silly. And I don't think it's just our culture. People, I should stop saying that. People can get real silly. People, especially who are not used to being around money or used to just doing favors for people. So I've been there, you know, Danny looking at old boy Mousy like, you shouldn't even be here, and now you messing up my good time, and fuck you, and even though boss told me what to do, fuck what boss said, he ain't here, I'm the boss. Especially you got some broads around, I think you guys can figure out the scene, right?
Yeah.
But this shit goes really south for this crew. Mousy says, Freddie said, give me some money. His man, the DJ Danny, says, nah, this, that, and the third. They get into an altercation. He knocks Mousy down. He say, according to the bras, he tells Freddie he thought Mousy was going for a gun or something. Anyway, he shoots the dope fig. He shoots poor Mousy. Mousy staggers out the room, makes it down to the lobby of the hotel. Freddie Myers and the rest of the crew are all obtained, and now he's on the radar. Okay. This then same guy, Danny, who then shot Poe Mousy, they get back to New York. He brings to Freddie Myers a guy by the name of Alvin Jones. Now, Alvin Jones, according to Freddie, had been told that they used to hustle together also, but that he had been popped by the police and he had turned snitch.
Okay.
Now, this is the part though. It is very much like the Roosevelt neighbors, Eddie. I mean, there's always that conduit. You know, the feds seldom can get directly close to the big fella himself, right? So they got to get close to somebody who's close to the big fella to infiltrate, to get close enough to get some transactions, right?
Right.
Now, even though I know by the time this is taking place, and Freddie Myers is in New York, so he has seen Frank Matthews go on the run. He has seen Nicky Barnes go to jail. He's seen Guy Fisher go to jail. He knows the game. So when Danny approaches him with this guy, and he's got reputation, this guy as a snitch, instead of just short-circuiting and saying, I'm not gonna play with you kids, he basically entertains a conversation. He tells Danny, I'm not doing business with the guy. Danny says, well, can I do business with the guy? And he tells his man Danny, look, you're a DJ, you ain't a hustler, you need to stay out of this lane. You know, the same thing, got Mr. Horn, the barber. Y'all just don't want to see me driving Cadillacs. You know, there was a barber who went to down, good friend of ours, shout out to Mr. Horn.
Yeah.
But he ended up catching a case with Eddie and the other 32 guys and my dad, because he got out of his lane. He was living the life, running with the crew.
When keeping it real goes wrong.
When keeping it real goes wrong, yeah. Long story short, Freddie looks out for the DJ guy, Danny. Says, man, if you want to try to make you some money, but I'm telling you, I think you're man the police. Now, and he tells him, Danny, you're going to end up going to jail. But if Freddie knew what I know, nah, he ain't going to be the one going to jail. You going to be the one going to jail.
Yeah.
Because if he dealing with a snitch, when the shit hit the fan, good chance he going to snitch on you. Even though you think you got a level of separation from the streets or from the snitch, some chances aren't worth taking. You know, in hindsight, of course, is always 20/20. All the hustles, everybody's been involved.
Always.
Anyway, of course, the guy was the police, and that is what led to the dismantling of the Good and Plenty crew. Yeah.
Only take one.
It always takes one, and it's always one. And of course, as would always happen, it was just really as he was beginning to try to kind of go legit. You know, but I guess the moral of the story, and so many of these stories, when you come from that environment and you're dealing in multi-millions of dollars, but your allegiance and your lifestyle is still so closely connected to the streets. So few of us have had the discipline to just really separate ourselves from the streets. Because the streets be full of tragedy and people who are tragedy prone, and you just can't really run a multi-million-dollar business and continue to have that close of, because they're gonna get to you. The state's gonna get to you, the stick of man, the pole, tragedy's gonna happen. But all that, would love to hear you guys' opinion of this legendary hustler. Again, New York Freddie Myers. One of those stories that just never got the pub, but another fascinating story from that era, and for people who cover and enjoy kind of gangster material, gangster history. He's got a place in it. So shout out to the New York Freddie Myers.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, and check out his doc. I hope his people are the ones who own the intellectual property on that.
Yeah, because as we know, just recently, speaking of intellectual properties, there is a movie that there's a standing boycott. You've heard of a talented boxer by the name of Mike Tyson.
Get out of here! What's up with the Iron Man?
Okay, he has.
You know, I told him I should be his manager back December 30th, 1989. I told him at Nels, you should let your man CB represent you.
You see, he probably should have listened.
He probably should listen. We
listened.
both would have a couple hundred M's.
Yeah, a couple hundred
M's more.
Probably
anyway,
knowing you by now, probably be a couple of B's.
A couple of B's.
And what he had,
cut
Jesus.
it out. Cut it out.
No, but his doc came out. Not doc, his biopic came out.
Okay.
But Mike is upset that he's not getting a penny for it.
So they didn't even bring him in.
It was Hulu. It's a Hulu original. And the streets is talking.
I mean, I get that, but then I don't get it. So I mean, Hulu's a big platform, but it ain't HBO, right?
Well, I mean, I think they're backed by Disney.
But it's somebody big behind it.
Yeah.
But business is business. Subsidiary of Disney, they've got a budget. Obviously, the Mike Tyson story is compelling.
Absolutely.
That's where, what we talk about and why we're doing what we're doing, and it's been slow and it's been meticulous, but lining up the dots so that we can do the Eddie Jackson story and Courtney Brown story and the story of some of these Detroit stories, to do it on our terms is important, and why we have done the documentary, done the book, and done some things to protect our intellectual property.
That's right.
To my knowledge, there is no autobiography of Mike Tyson.
No, I don't think so.
Why him and his team had never already done a documentary as fascinating and as famous as he is, I don't know, because somebody close to him had to say, yo, champ, if we don't do this,
right,
someone else is going to do it, and all your life is public record, so they don't have to.
They don't have to
bring you in. Now you would think I'll 50 Cent G Unit bringing in Meech and the Flannery family into the BMF series, and so many other examples of people who want to do stories on people's lives and bring those people in or their family members in, and say, why don't you guys come in as consultants or producers so we can really get the story.
The story,
especially from Tyson's case, where you could get the story straight from but they ain't that interested in the truth, no way.
Well, I mean, as we saw from American Gangster. I mean, you spoke of it a few minutes ago.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Paramount. Ike Atkins reached out after the New Yorker interview. When Frank Lucas did that interview that really started the whole boulder rolling with the Atlantic magazine. I'm sorry, with the New Yorker magazine. Talking about the coffin connection and the plug coming out of Southeast Asia. Ike was sitting down in Butner. Okay. The old man ended up on the last go round.
Is that in Atlanta?
North Carolina.
Oh, North Carolina.
Butner, North Carolina.
Okay.
Medical federal medical facility.
Okay.
So Ike writes a letter to the New Yorker saying, yo, that story's not accurate. I was the guy bringing in the stuff from Asia. Frank Lucas got his work from me. I took Frank Lucas to Thailand. I was the guy with the bar. Me and my partner, we the ones who did all this. But the New Yorker was like, well, you know, guys,
a little too late.
A little too late. Story's already out. And once Paramount jumped on the bandwagon, then it's a bunch of suits making decisions, and Ike Atkins, Frank Lucas, Harlem, black guy, drug dealer, both from North Carolina. Close enough, guys. Close enough.
Close. Big time.
But they threw Ike a bone, at least.
Yeah. Oh, did they?
Ike got about $800,000.
Oh, that's what's up.
I mean, not really for a movie that grossed over $400 million.
Yeah.
If he would have, again, at his stage in life, I get it. $800,000 at his stage in life was like $8 million for us, because he's like, the clock ticking, it's late, it's the 2-minute warning, and you talk about $800,000, I'll run with it. But for future generations of his family, let's just say he had said, okay, give me the $800,000 plus 1% of gross. Well, 1% of $400 million is $4 million, and count it, because you're going to be seeing American Gangster forever.
Right, that'll be like our White Heat, or
just the Al Capone story, the Untouchable,
right?
Benny, or no, what was with Warren Beatty? Bugsy. It'll be like Bugsy. It'll be like the Untouchables. It's gonna be like Dillinger. They're gonna keep playing that movie over and over again forever.
Exactly.
And but that goes back to the financial literacy, kind of thing, family.
Definitely.
So, great story, untold story of street legend, New York Freddie Myers. So that's what we do here at Big Boss. We're gonna talk a little bit about the Eddie Jackson buyout. The Eddie Jackson buyout. I'll bring you guys. I know a lot of you guys are just the channel is growing. So again, I always forget, and we must remember. Please, guys, if you're watching us on YouTube, hit that like, share, and subscribe button.
Smash that notification bell down below.
Check us out also. Where are we at on Facebook and IG?
Big Boss Filmworks around the board. We're on IG. We're on TikTok now. Dropping a few shorts. Look at YouTube Shorts. Check out. We'll be doing some stuff on live Facebook very soon. We're interviewing some tech people and trying to grow out this team. Again, we want to get this Motown Mafia, making it a Mafia, pretty much almost home with that.
I wish it was going to happen this year. I don't see Motown Mafia Part 2 happening the end of the year, but I think we'll at least be starting.
We'll be in production.
We'll be in
for
production.
Sure.
We'll be in production by
we're putting that together.
Yeah, so that's gonna happen. So yeah, make sure you guys are hitting that like, share, and subscribe. We got a lot of hot stuff coming up. And I was saying, I know a lot of people have come on, so we are just honored and pleased with the growth of the channel. So sometimes for those who already are familiar with the story, bear with us, because we got to sometimes backtrack to keep the whole family up to breast. And again, we always suggest everybody check out the book if you like to read Motown Mafia, Memoirs of a Kingpin Kid, or check out the doc Motown Mafia on Tubi TV or Amazon Prime, so you guys can really always have a full grasp on where we would be going with these stories and why we have some of these unique insights.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course, also on Amazon is Mind Right, Money Right, Getting Off Zero. Give you guys some business ideas. And then, can you hand me
The Big Man?
The Big Man on Campus. A fictionalized story of my days in college when I first started working for the old man. Names and places have been changed, as we say, to protect the guilty and the innocent. But that's also available on Kindle, on Amazon. We're going to have that and paperback. But if you get it on paperback, you got to go directly to us, shoot us an email, or go to bigbossfilmworks.com and we can send you a hard copy. I think we'll probably actually go ahead and give Amazon some hard copies also.
Yeah.
But you can get Mind Right, Money Right, Getting Off Zero directly from Amazon, Kindle or paperback. You can get Motown Mafia, Memoirs of a Kingpin's Kid on Amazon, paperback or Kindle, and Big Man on Campus available on Amazon, Kindle, and soon paperback also. But you can always go to bigbossfilmworks.com and buy it directly from us.
And
so,
we
go ahead, bro.
Yeah, big time. We also really want to hear from you guys. Like, who are some of the people you want to hear us chat about? Who are some of the people you want to know about? I want to know in the comments section. Some of the hell of a fellas, some of the real ones. Talk to us. Tell us what you want to see. And in the comments section, you leave the right comment, we're going to drop you a book. If you don't have it already, The Big Man on Campus, Motown Mafia, or Getting Off Zero.
Yeah.
We're going to do a freebie for one of you lucky commenters.
Yeah. Definitely send out a comment, send out something, and then you know what? In fact, we might have to be maybe send in a comment, and we're gonna maybe we can do that with some of the t-shirts too.
Yeah, we got t-shirt selection, baseball caps,
before
that kind of
for the new stock hits. We can send out some of the past designs to some of the family out there, because
big time.
We are a benevolent crew, because we learned from the real trap gods that you guys are us and we are you guys, and so we family, so we should look out for each other. So you guys check in and keep telling people about us, so you're doing your part, so we're gonna do our part and look out for you guys too.
Definitely.
All right, so let's take a hot little break. And come back and give a little throwback history of the Eddie Jackson organization, Eddie Jackson buyout, the man who was doing franchises before franchises got popular. Holla at your man. It's your man, CRB Jr., Big Lou, Big Boss Filmworks, Motown Mafia podcast. Some of this stuff. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking and take a break. But for those who do not know, we have another channel called the Diaspora Plug that's available on YouTube. We really started off because we were doing a lot of business in Africa prior to the pandemic. But we're going to start putting up a lot of the business content that we do, because obviously I'm a businessman, entrepreneur. Lou, you're a businessman, entrepreneur.
Definitely.
We do business together, and we do business with all kind of people. And we want to really start chronicling, the other brothers and sisters in our community who are doing some big things and little things, because all big things were one time little things. So we're going to start putting up some of that content up on the Diaspora Plug, kind of expand. It's going to be a lot more than just about business in Africa and the motherland. It's going to be a plug for the diaspora, for brothers and sisters anywhere trying to do business and do something entrepreneurial. We're going to have some hot content on Diaspora Plug for you. So there it is. It's your man. Holla.
1973. The Detroit Free Press's front page proclaims, "Dope kingpins get away with it." They had names like Jesse James, Pretty Ricky, the Black Greek, and Mr. Clean. 2 of the 12 men listed as Detroit's biggest heroin dealers were next-door neighbors, and in reality, they were the 2 largest heroin dealers in Detroit, dwarfing the other men on the list. Eddie the Fat Man Jackson, charismatic son of a pool hall owner, and his chief lieutenant, Courtney the Field Marshal Brown, a former city bus driver, had built an empire on a par with men like Nicky Barnes and Frank Lucas of New York. But theirs was a very different and in many ways more sophisticated operation than Barnes and Lucas's, based on family ties and finesse more than murder and mayhem. They truly were the Motown Mafia, and the saga of Eddie Jackson, Courtney Brown, and their families stretched from the 1960s and into the present day.